The speaker never sounds like a preacher delivering a sermon or a coach motivating a client. They sound like someone who has been there, who is sitting across from you, not standing above you. The authority comes from having survived something, not from having a title. I want you to do something before this video starts. Think about the person who has been at the center of the opposition against you. Not every person who participated, not the ones on the edges who went along with it. The specific individual, the one who organized, who coordinated, who made the key decisions about how to come against you. Hold that person in your mind, because what I am about to tell you is about them specifically. The person at the center of what was done to you, the one who operated from behind a careful shield of plausible deniability, who made sure their name stayed clean while your name absorbed the damage, is about to have a God encounter that has nothing to do with you. You are not going to be the instrument of their undoing. You are not going to have to do a single thing. You are not going to need the receipts, the witnesses, the confrontation, or the vindication you have been praying for and sometimes fantasizing about. God is going to hand you the outcome on a plate, and it is going to be more thorough, more undeniable, and more publicly witnessed than anything you could have produced in your own strength. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. And I am going to show you from Scripture and from the pattern of God's character exactly why I can say this with confidence. Let me describe what it has been like to be on the receiving end of what this person orchestrated. The most maddening feature of dealing with a sophisticated adversary, someone who is strategic rather than reactive, is the asymmetry. They were strategic. You were authentic. They were calculating. You were simply living. They were managing perception. You were simply being yourself. And somehow, in that asymmetry, they maintained an advantage, because strategy, even corrupt strategy, tends to outperform authenticity in the short term in social and political dynamics. The person willing to construct a narrative wins the room before the person simply living the truth can even respond. So you watched someone build a case against you in real time, carefully, methodically, using social architecture that was invisible enough to maintain deniability, and you had to absorb the damage without being able to clearly identify what was happening, let alone effectively oppose it. And perhaps the most infuriating part of the experience was the image maintenance. The way this person was able to continue presenting as reasonable, even generous, even concerned for your well-being, while the damage they were orchestrating continued beneath the surface. There is a particular kind of spiritual exhaustion that comes from being in opposition with someone who is much more willing to play the game than you are, who does not share your commitment to honesty, your discomfort with manipulation, your unwillingness to trade in other people's reputations. That exhaustion is valid, and I want to speak directly to it before I tell you what's coming. There is a specific spiritual principle I want to establish before I give you the good news. In the book of Esther, Haman builds a gallows for Mordecai. He constructs it at his own home, at his own expense, for the specific purpose of destroying the person he has decided is his enemy. He tells people about it. And then, in one of the most precise reversals in all of Scripture, the king asks Haman what should be done for a man the king wishes to honor, and Haman, assuming the king means him, prescribes an elaborate public honor. The honor is given to Mordecai, and Haman is hanged on the gallows he built for Mordecai. This is not a coincidence of the narrative. This is the pattern of how God deals with those who use their position and influence to construct destruction for the people he has appointed. The instrument of destruction becomes the instrument of the destroyer's own undoing. The gallows your adversary built for you, they are going to hang on it. I need to be honest about what the waiting for this looks like, because the distance between God is going to deal with this as a theological statement and God is dealing with this as a lived experience can span months or years. And in that distance, things continue to happen.
The damage continues to compound. The narrative they constructed continues to affect how certain people see you. Opportunities continue to be affected. Relationships continue to carry the weight of what was said. And you keep being told by well-meaning people, by your own faith, by scriptures you have memorized, to trust, to wait, to not retaliate, to let God be the judge. And you do, because you genuinely believe it. But belief and emotional peace are not the same thing, and you are not required to pretend they are. There have been moments where the injustice felt intolerable, where the gap between what you knew to be true and what the world appeared to believe was so large that you could not bridge it with any amount of spiritual discipline, where you wanted, desperately, viscerally, to simply show people the truth, to open the file, to lay it all out, and you didn't. Or if you came close, you pulled back. Something in you kept the response proportionate, kept the high road, kept your integrity intact, even when the cost of it was significant. That restraint is being recorded, every instance of it, and it is building a case on your behalf that will be presented at exactly the right moment.
The timeline you have constructed or the documentation you have maintained. He was present for every moment of what was done. He has a complete and unimpeachable record. And when he acts in a way that closes every possible avenue for the person to reframe, spin, or survive the exposure with their narrative intact. He removes the plausible deniability they have carefully maintained. He ensures that the right people are in the right position to understand what they are seeing. He times it for maximum clarity and minimum ambiguity. What comes for your adversary will not be subtle, and you will not have to explain it to anyone. The revelation will speak for itself. Your job in this season is singular. Do not touch it. Do not allow yourself to be drawn into any behavior, however justified it might feel, that would compromise the moral clarity of your position. Stay clean. Stay forward. Stay in your calling. Let God's justice land without your fingerprints on the process. Because the vindication is coming, and it needs to arrive with you visibly nowhere near the mechanism of it. If you are currently trusting God with a situation involving someone who harmed you and got away with it, someone whose position, reputation, or narrative has protected them from accountability, I need you to comment, "I'm trusting God with it." That is not a passive statement. That is one of the most active, costly, and spiritually significant positions a person can hold. And this community needs to know how many of us are standing in it. Comment, "I'm trusting God with it." And subscribe, because I'm doing a follow-up specifically on what to do spiritually and practically while you wait for divine justice, how to pray, how to protect your own heart from bitterness, and how to stay positioned for the restoration that follows the vindication. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you there.